got maced by the police.
I want my dad. I'm not getting it over.
Word. Man.
Get in the car.
I demand it.
I don't care what you demand.
Come on, man. Look at it. This is a little girl. She's 9 years old. Don't nobody feel no type of way. You got these people running around with stimulus checks acting like ain't nothing going on. Where the gangsters at? I go. Agobi. Ile mokyo. Yeshua mokyo. Oguna mokyo.
I would write this shit in fire. This is a war cry. This is Sankofa, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Southside, Chicago, Compton, California, Roosevelt Projects in Brooklyn.
They shoot you back like that. 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 One time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we get back. 4 times for the Eddie could crack. They shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we make stack. Revolution like hate like that. I'm a king with a crown that's facts. She a queen with a crown that's facts. I'm a G, she a G that stacks. I'm a G, she a G that match. From my G's in the back that trap. Be a G, get back, that's tax. See, we a feet who need this facts. And we'll teach TC this facts. So when you see we eat the snacks. If we see deceit, this cats. Be a key to the free that latch. Be a key to a seed that hatch. From my G's in the back that trap. Be a G, flip that, that's racks. See a LLC, get that. And start a business, please, this that. If they shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we get back. 4 times for the Eddie could crack. They shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we make stack. Revolution like Haiti like that. See the crown where it's at, this hat. And we gon' lay it down flat, this smack. Fall asleep where you at, this snap. See an open hand slap, this smack. While we even at all's mishaps. I'm like even that's all mismatch. Spit this, spit that, spit facts. Kick this, kick that, click clack. If they shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we get back. 4 times for the Eddie could crack. They shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we make stack. Revolution like hate like that. For those who came before me, let the legacy live through me, my ancestors giving honor, you dig? Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. I'ma crown me king. They told me do this for the sisters who gotta work that job. She just trying to raise her babies while she goes so hard. Tell her crown me king. Tell her crown me king. Tell her crown me king. I'ma crown me king. It's for the brothers on the struggle locked inside of that cell. Just know I'm trying to free your mind, get you out of that jail. Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. I'ma crown me king. You know the children are the future, teenage boys and girls. Get your money, start a business, then take over the world. Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. Tell them crown me king. I'ma crown me king.
I am the niece of exploitation on a rice and pancake box. Come to collect the royalties for Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. I am refreshing the bones, a witch, a root worker, a sorceress, a priestess, a gangster.
They shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we get back. 4 times for the Eddie could crack. They shoot you back like that. 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 1 time for the baby that's black. 2 times for the lady that's black. 3 times for the way we make stack. Revolution like Haiti like that.
Peace, everyone. Look, I'm here, and no technical difficulties. Not yet. Well, no, we're not gonna claim that. But I am back Welcome to the Healing Chambers here with MaWu Lisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. It is hot, but we like it like that. We are in Cancer season, nurturing season. We have the 777 portal opening. We got so much going on, and I am excited. I find myself needing to try to calm myself down because I want to talk about everything, and I'm not going to give it all to you tonight because I need you to come back. But thank you for being here. Like I said, we are talking about nurturing in this Cancer season. Now, I did make mention to this last month when we were doing communication, because we talked about the first communication being that in the womb. So, of course, if we're going to talk about nurturing and health, we're going to need to come on back around that circle and talk about our childhood. I know we hate to do it, but we're going to have to do it. But before I get started just jumping all over the place here, I like to give thanks to Do the Knowledge Radio, Knowledge Born of Law, always supportive. You know, even when my internet is interneting, he finds a way to make sure that my messages, the messages from the elders here at MaWu Lisa Temple, our messages get out to you. So thank you so much to Do the Knowledge Radio platform and Knowledge Born of Law. So thank you for that. So like I said, we're going to talk about nurturing. Okay. Now, many of us learn about nurture nature once we go to school. But that's not where nurture nature begins, right? I would ask someone, where does nurturing begin? Does it begin in the womb? Does it begin somewhere else? Does it begin after a child is a certain age? You know, and what does it look like? Is it necessary? You know, is it necessary? Is nurturing necessary? Well, let's come up with let's have the definition for nurture according to the dictionary. As a verb, to care for and encourage the growth or development of, right? As a noun, the process of caring for and encouraging the growth or development of someone or something. Now, I want to pause here for a second and go to the sentence that they use. Now, anybody that know I'm old school. I grew up with a mom that on Mondays, we wrote our spelling words 10 times each. We had to write the definition, not the short one, because she'll get you. And we had to write a sentence. And I found it interesting, the sentence that they used here. Jared was nurtured by his parents in a close-knit family. Now, I want us to just put that back in here, okay? And hold on to that, because that's what I want to talk about today. So recently, I had a conversation with my oldest son about some, just parenting things. We're just talking about, how it is to parent in this day and age. And let me just say, anybody that is raising children in this time, ashe, all the respect to you, because I ain't made for it. I'm telling you now, I'm not. It's just too much. I'd be dragged through the streets for some of the things that I would have to say. But we were having this conversation, and we talked about a couple of topics that are in the news right now, and the responsibility of, whose responsibility it is to talk to children about certain things. So in the course of this conversation, he said to me that he looked at it like this. You gave me this thing, this person, this project, this entity to care for, shape, and mold and guide. And when he said all these things, I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to myself, proud, of course, because, that's my baby. But still, I'm listening to how much of a mature approach he had to raising his children. Now, this is where it starts to get sticky, you know, for some of us, because some of us are really sensitive, okay? But, you know, listen, now's the season for crying. If you need to cry, cry, because you're going to get this work. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, not sorry. But when he talked about, you know, his role in my granddaughter's life and his children's lives and what his job was, I realized that there's a level of nurturing going on in his household that many of us did not have. Okay. Now, I want to go on record and say I'm tired of us pointing the fingers at whose fault it is, the man or the woman's, about what's going on in this world. We are here now. We here now. I'm a solution-based person. All that pointing the finger, and you listen, we can be introspective together, but we need to stop pointing fingers and start talking about this stuff. You know, I thought about when I was raising him. Now this, I'm listening to my child tell me how he's raising his, and let me just say, excellent father, and his wife, excellent mother. These children are so just pleasant, I mean, amazing people, amazing little people, right? And I'm not just saying it because they mine, but I'm listening to him and I'm thinking about, how did he get like this? That's what I thought. I said, how did he get like this? Because I was dumb when I had him. I was a teenager. I didn't know anything about raising a baby and what a baby needed, what a person needed to be a well-adjusted adult one day. I think sometimes we forget about that. We have these children and we forget one day they're going to be adults. One day they're going to be adults. And the foundation that they have kind of more than likely dictates what kind of person they're going to be, unless they are exceptional and do a lot of work. Now, and that's many of us. We are here to do the work, you know. But some of us don't get the memo. Some of us will lie in denial to the day we take our last breath, instead of just tell the truth and shame the devil, like my mama used to say. Okay? So I'm thinking about this. Now, I was even younger, you know. I was almost 20 when I had him, but I was younger when I had my first child. And so I'm thinking, she got none of that. She got none. She got none of that poor baby. But here we are. These children have figured out a way to nurture their children in a way that's helping them to be better. And that's where I am today. That's what I want to talk about with healing and health today. Many of us have to recognize that there's nothing we can do about the way we were raised. It's already happened. We here. And looking back at it, being it for the purpose of healing is one thing. Looking back at it for the purpose of having something to wallow in about why your life is not right now and why you can't do right now, none of that is acceptable. Not if we're going to be healthy. We have to remember that health is more than just the body. Many of us wonder why your finances are in the state that they in, because your mind is all jacked up and your spirit is all jacked up. because your energy is all jacked up, because you can't understand that there's a nurturing, a healing of your nurturing foundation that needs to be worked on. We run around here in all these relationships, you know, thinking you're going to have a, you know, whatever, and still you're not healed from that nurture wound. That nurture wound is real. So what is an example of nurturing someone, right? With children, verbally and non-verbally validating their feelings. I want to stop right there. See, like I said, I'm so excited about this topic that like I could just like pop right now, you know? But I'm trying to take my time because one, I want you to really hear what I'm saying. And I want you to really think about it because again, my job is not to convince you. My job is to share with you. And what you do with it, you know, Kalas, what you do with it, you do. Okay? So verbally and non-verbally validating their feelings. One of my favorite comics is Cat Williams. And I remember he had this one show that I was watching, and he talked about self-respect. And, you know, he goes on to be like, it's respecting yourself, and self-esteem is esteeming yourself, or whatever he says. And I remember laughing at the joke because it was hella funny, right? But at the same time, I was like, do he even know how many people don't have self-respect and do not have self-esteem? And no, it's not because they don't want to. They didn't learn how. Nobody ever showed them what self-respect or self-esteem looked like. Nobody ever helped that grow in them. That has to grow with you. I don't know what make people think you get to a certain age and you all done. If you are still here, it's still work to do. Period. And trust me, whatever comes after this is work to do too. I don't know what it is, but it's there. It's always work. It's always. But validating their feelings. I remember trying to tell my mother my feelings one time. Woo, boy, here goes some tissues for your issues. You know? And it wasn't that she didn't want to. She didn't. Why is this child asking me something I don't have no answers to? Because you know what? Nobody ever really nurtured her. So she didn't know what to do with me. Here I am, this advanced child, asking these questions. Where do these questions come from? We forget every generation wiser but weaker. These children be coming up with questions sometimes. You'd be like, what? But I remember, you know, my mother, you know, I remember saying, you don't ask me how I feel. And she said, well, you should feel just fine. You got food, clothing, and shelter. How many of us heard that? I'll wait. Because that's what many of us think all nurturing is food, clothing, and shelter. As long as they keep you alive and keep the food, clothing, and shelter, you good. And if you get all of those, you really good. But that's not what nurturing is. It's so much more. But many of us, including myself when I was young, I used to think that's what being a parent was all about. My job is food, clothing, and shelter. Make sure I don't kill one of y'all before you get 18 and get out here on your own. This is what we were taught. In the generation before us, that's what taught it to us, because that's what they thought. When I help my adult children now, my friends look at me like I'm crazy. Why are you helping them grown children? Because they still my children. They still need nurturing. They still need guidance. They still need support. Don't you wish you had some? I really be thinking sometimes that's what it really is. You know what I mean? They don't have no support. So they like, why is she supporting grown people? Because grown people need support too. Nurturing needs support too. Because that same person, be it man or woman, if they were in a relationship with somebody that they laying down with, they be trying to nurture them all the time. And you trying to nurture from a well that's dry. You trying to give a love you don't even know what it is. Providing physical affection. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't get a whole bunch of hugs when I was growing up. You know, I don't even make a secret of that, especially because, you know, we all talked about our love languages before. Mine is touch. Always has been. But that can be ruined if the only touch you ever get is a whooping because you done did something or you forgot a chore, but you never get a hug. So imagine what that does to the psyche. Imagine what that does in the course of growth and development. And many of us, men and women, have had that childhood. Y'all not going to, you see, one thing that ain't going to never be is that I'm going to sit here and I'm going to expose myself like I'm the only one. No, I'm calling everybody. The time for all that, look, we got to get real with this. This is getting so dangerous. These young people having babies right now, can you imagine the lack of nurturing that's going on? Or what's being passed off as nurturing? Oh, they got the latest, I don't know what the latest sneakers is, but they got the latest sneakers, they got the latest pants, they got the latest shirts and jackets. Oh, they got their hair and their nails done. Fly haircut, you know. This is nurturing. Like I said, I was a teenage parent. I know my babies had Timbs, you know, Rambles because they matched. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I didn't, well, I was a hugger, so I did hug. And I'm going to tell y'all a funny story about that in a second. But one of the things I didn't know was the validation with words and nonverbal things. Like you give a hug, that's validation. You say, oh, you did a good job. But there's so much more beyond that. Other spaces, I think about other places where I could have been more nurturing because I could have said more. Like sometimes you think stuff in your mind, but you don't say it. You think they children, they don't need to hear it. They'll be all right. You know, but some of that is important. You know, some of it is important for them to hear. And the funny story I was going to tell you, you know, my mom, one time I was leaving the children at her house. So I took them upstairs, you know, and when we got upstairs, we realized that they needed some juice. So I gave them all hugs and I went to the store and I came back and I brought the juice and everything. And I was like, okay. And I'm hugging them all again. And she like, how many times you want to hug them? You just hugged them a few minutes ago. And it's like it clicked in my mind. Like, this is not how my mother was raised. You got hugs on like special occasions, maybe. So what did that do to her? My mother had a Cancer rising. You know, she was a Leo with Sagittarius moon. She needed some softness. And my grandma was hard. You know, she was old school. You know, get up, wipe it off. You know, very nurturing to us as grandchildren, because my mother used to say all the time, y'all got the best of your grandmother. She wasn't like that when I was little. All that being nice to y'all. And I really thought about that. You know, for those of us who have grandchildren, how are we nurturing them? Are we? Do we think it's even our responsibility? Do we have a part in it? My grandchildren live abroad, but I do my best to still let them know, hey, I see you. I support you. I'm proud of you. Many of us never heard those things. And that does have an effect on our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. Many of us walk around feeling empty. We talk about mother and father issues, mother and father wounds. We talk about these things, but many are not doing anything about it. They just talking because it sounds good. It sounds good to say you're doing this work. This work is painful. This work is painful. This work will leave you in a hump on the floor, crying your eyes out when you realize what you've been through. But again, you're here. So now, in the stage of refinement, which is that's an ever going process. And I've said that. You should always be working on refining yourself. But in this refinement, there has to be a moment when we sit back and we look at nurturing in our lives. And we have to ask ourselves, where are the holes? Where are the holes? Because holes are still there, whether, you address them or not. They're still there. They get filled with different things, but they're still there. And then the question is, what do I do? How do I bring myself? How do I make myself whole again? Part of it is working on that self-respect and self-esteem. But that requires us to put away so many things. Shame and guilt and, pettiness and unforgiveness. We have to put away so many things to heal ourselves truly and fully. Love truly is the answer. And I can say that because I know that if we do this work and we really learn what love is, and we learn what nurturing is, and we learn what self-esteem and self-respect is, we will love ourselves enough to want to do everything we can do in the world to make it a better place. And you might not feel like that's your job, and that's fine. So this message ain't for you. But for those who know, we can't go on like this. We can't. Many of us are walking around love starved. I ain't talking about attention. I'm talking about love. Real nurturing. So I want to take a little break here. And I'm going to come back with some more of this fire. And I really do want each and every one that hears my voice to know that if you are here, it's not too late. You can still get the nurturing you need. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And another story I heard today that, from a young man about what he expected from a young woman. And so I'm going to address that just a little bit when we come back and what that looks like in regards to our health. So I will be back in a moment. Enjoy the music that Knowledge Born is going to share with us, and see you in a sec. Peace, peace, peace. You know, I'm sitting here smiling. Knowledge Born always has the flyest music. Y'all got to check out that man's playlist. It is insane. It is insane. Welcome back. This is your sister Rue at MaWu Lisa Temple. We are talking about nurturing and health. You know, I kind of got a little heated. You know, I had to calm down a little bit. But you know what? I'm back and I still got some more heat because it is just so important to understand nurturing and our health. As you know, MaWu Lisa Temple, we work with people who deal with chronic illness, chronic disease, and chronic pain, and those who support them, i.e. caregivers, massage therapists, Reiki. So all the folks, we deal with these people and we support them, we uplift them, we give them a safe space to be able to talk about the things going on in their lives, to find alternative ways to maybe address some of their issues and other things. We have beautiful retreats, we have learning circles and all those things. And if you're interested in any of those things, please DM us at MaWu Lisa Temple 1 or email us at mawulisatemple@gmail.com. Okay. So we were talking about nurturing. We were talking about the importance of nurturing and what that looks like. Okay. So, I told you about the conversation with my son and how we were thinking about the future and what this means. And, one of the things I'd like to say is that, I do remember something that was very important to me when my children were small. I homeschooled my children and I had some really unique opportunities to get to know a little bit about them and their personalities and, how, things work. And, I realized that you can talk to one child one way, but you might have to talk to another the other way. Love is an action word. You know what I mean? I tell people that parenting, action word, all of these things, nurturing, action word, so these are action things. I had to be so mindful that I couldn't deal with each child the same way. And I bring that up because today I heard a snippet of a conversation, an interview of a young man, and he was talking about what he wanted from a woman in terms of a mate. Now, as you know, I said that there are so many things that at one time I think we could have easily talked about and been able to keep our composure. But nowadays everybody's just so sensitive and so on point that you choose your words wisely because you don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I will if I have to, but I don't want to, because this is about healing. You know what I mean? You need to fight those demons. But anyway, I'm listening to this young man talk about what he wants from a woman and, what he expects from her. And he said that he wanted a woman who was nurturing. And I thought about that because the young man was about, I don't know, maybe 30 years old. So, I'm thinking about maybe how old was his mom when she had him, and what his nurturing process looked like. So I went and I looked this young man up and saw how old his mom was. She was young, and I saw that there wasn't a father listed. And I was like, huh. See, I'm a mother of sons too. So, I said I had a lot of sons, not because they were better than having girls, because my girls are awesome, 10 years apart, but those boys were to teach me a very valuable lesson for the work that I do now. Anybody that knows that I am a champion of family dynamic. I am an advocate for the family dynamic. And I love to see our men and women in their proper stations, So when I'm looking at this young man and I'm listening to the things that he's saying is important and his deal breakers and blah, 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 I say he want a mother. He don't even want a woman. He need nurturing. But if you were to say that to him, he would get defensive. Because again, we don't even understand what nurturing is. I told you, many of us never heard the word till we was in high school. Nature versus nurture. Then they teach you some book story about what that is and push you on. But he didn't want a mother. He wanted to heal. But see, here's the thing about that. He could have got a woman with everything on the list that he said. But he wouldn't have been able to keep her, please her, or get the benefit from her because he don't know what nurturing is. And so when she would be trying to nurture him, he'd think that she's trying to control him. He'd think that she's trying to change him and all these different things. But didn't it tell us the development the growth and development, your refinement. When you are with someone, you should be getting better. Not them making you better, but the environment promoting life. If you're not growing, you dying. Okay? And I know somebody say even when you're growing, you're dying, but you know what? Talk to me later. Okay? Talk to me later. In a relationship, it is said when one leaves, they should leave you better than when they met you. And I can guarantee you many of these young men and women, older ones too, did not come from a mother and father who left each other better than they found them. Another thing that this young man was saying, he was talking about the promiscuity of the women. And you know, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to just say it because it is what it is. Many of y'all wouldn't even be here if your mother and father weren't morally loose. And that's the nice way to say it. And most of y'all, when y'all got here, your parents were not prepared to nurture you because they weren't nurtured themselves. That's why they was out there running around the streets. Now, I know somebody don't want to hear this, but guess what? Somebody do. Somebody do. You know why? Because somebody's sitting around here with a hole and they don't know what it is. And I'm telling you, just going back to that foundation of all of this, always going back to the root. It's going to be always going back to the root. But like I said, many of us get back to the root and we want to stay there. We want to wallow in sadness. Yo, it is what it is. I tell people like this, if it wasn't for the lessons and the things you had to overcome, you would not be who you are. But that does not mean that you don't have to try to do better for the next ones and the ones that you're responsible for. And if you're in a relationship with someone, you're responsible for them. Okay. Now, there was a young lady on this particular interview too, and they asked her what it was she was looking for in a mate. And do you know the very first thing she said? Someone who will make me feel safe. Well, if you look up nurturing, it will tell you that one of the ways or one of the things that a person can do to make someone or to nurture someone is to make them feel safe. Women want to feel safe. Men want to feel safe. We don't feel safe with each other. We don't trust each other. That's foundational too. But when we talking about things like and you know, I'm talking about all this, whether you see how it ties together or not. I'm going to try to bring it all to a nice little pack for you. Okay. People are going to be together, right? They're going to make babies or not. But nurturing has to be a part of the relationship. People get married and they say things like, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And in the first signs of trouble, they out the door. How safe do you think that makes someone feel? And what do you think that does to them moving forward? What effect do you think that can have on someone's mental and physical health? I need you and now you gone. Oh, this is just childhood all over again, is what happens with most people. And this is why, and then that's when you hear the statements like, this is why men can't trust women and women can't trust men and blah, blah, blah. This is why I'm by myself. All the things. Hey, listen, I'm there with you. Hey, I'm not just a member, I'm the president. But at the same time, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where do we begin? We begin with conversations. This is why we talked about this topic in the month of communication. We are not having good conversations, y'all. My youngest son is 25. He grew up with, me doing the lecture circuits and all that thing back in the day. And so he's heard so much metaphysical information. This boy is just amazing. But I was sitting down the other day and I was listening to something and he said, how many times y'all gonna have the same conversation? Notice what he said, y'all, talking about my generation and those who we listen to. He's like, how many times y'all gonna listen to the same thing? And I said, baby, some people just gotta hear it till they get it. And he said, but y'all wasting time. Now, of course, we could do the whole time relative thing, but don't y'all dare. What I'm saying to you is we can't keep having a meeting about the meeting. We can't keep bringing up issues, rumbling all around, and then just walking away until the next time it feels good to talk about them. We talk about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity and all divine masculinity and divine femininity. Don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. You saying these pretty words that sound great. You saying these ugly words that sound horrible. But all this is a nurture problem. This is a childhood root problem. And this is not about blaming our parents. This is not about our children blaming us. This is about, well, hey, I know better. I want to do better. I think many of us will respect our parents more if we think about, really sit down and look at the people who raised us or didn't. It would tell us why our life went the way it did. It couldn't have went no other way. We forget, we get our parents when they whatever age, they had a whole life before us. All the little nuances that made them who they are. These issues go back and back and back. But you have to start to ask yourself at some point, are they issues or are they lessons? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? We'll have some say yes, some say no, But the point is, if we have these conversations now, one, we have to bring maturity to the table. When somebody asks me what people got to bring to the table, maturity. Too immature. Open minds. You walk around here thinking you know everything. Not being afraid of worrying about what you look like because you want to work on the issue inside yourself. There is nothing wrong with having a mama issue or a daddy issue. You didn't cause it. You didn't cause it. But it's your responsibility to address it because it's in you. And these are the things that eventually end up killing us because you are only as sick as your secrets. People walking around here with wounds on the inside that's airing their organs out. I remember when I was younger, someone had said to me, alcoholics, blah, 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 in their livers, cirrhosis of the liver. And when I started to study naturopathic medicine and realized that the liver is the seat of anger and the spirits feed it, things made so much sense. Why you have some people who were happy drunk, some that's mean, some that'll tell you everything. And those the ones that got so many stories and so many wounds. They in there. Even the ones that's happy and singing songs. Do you know that's many times the only time they ever get to smile and sing songs. And you know what part of nurturing is? Laughing and playing games. That's why people want to be social. That's why they want to go out and be in groups and all that stuff like that, because they looking for the thing that's missing. They didn't get it. So now either they overindulge or underindulge in it. So now you got somebody walking around here with a bad liver. You know why? Because they're angry all the time. But you know what? They couldn't tell nobody why, because their parents wouldn't allow them to express their feelings. And then when they was growing up, they didn't express their feelings either, or either they did it in a way that caused chaos. And so they learned to just hold it in. Now they walking around here drinking and liver blowing up. Or not even drinking, because see, you don't even have to drink for this to affect your liver, because it's the seat of anger. We have to start to understand our body communicates with us. We talked about this last month. Your body is trying to tell you what issues you need to work on. Now, those of you who know. Those of you who going to keep running around and acting like cancer is this natural thing, hey, yo. Like running around here with high blood pressure is a natural thing. No. Heart problems, no. All of this is about nurturing. What we eat, where we live, who's pouring into us. Come on, y'all. I know it's hard to wrap our heads around. I know it's hard to admit. I know it's hard to think, yo, I'm 50, I'm 60, and I'm just figuring this out about myself. Isn't it better that you figuring it out now at all? Or you just going to go your whole life and not know? Lay down without ever knowing. And out without ever being your optimal self. Without having your birthright of optimal health. Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial. All of these things, your birthright, health, optimal health. Told you I was excited, y'all. Told you I was excited. I'm excited because I see that so many people want to do the work, but it is so much information out here and people are getting distracted. And they being pulled in all directions and they can't focus on anything and they can't remember where they were on their way to. Today I had to go out and my radio in my car is acting crazy. So, I have my little downloaded song on my, phone device, and it recommended a song that many people probably don't even remember, but it's called Olivia, and it talks about this girl, Olivia, being turned and lost, turned out and lost and all these things, right? Lost and turned out. And it's, the verse goes, they called the Olivia the slave, got distracted on her way to grandmother's house. And I've heard this song, I don't know how many times in my life. I've sang this song a gazillion times in my life. But when I heard it today and I was thinking about today's show, because that's what I was doing. I was sitting looking at the mountain thinking about today's show. And I said she got distracted on her way to grandmother's house. A wolf in man's clothing came, blew her mind, and changed her way. And now she's turned out, lost and turned out. I thought about who was sending her to her grandmama's house. Now, I know y'all might be like, oh my gosh, she's stretching. But no. Damn it, what else we doing with these things that we entertain ourselves with? Edutainment. Get on it. Right? I said, you know who was sending to her to her grandmother's house? Who sent us to our grandmother's house? Our mama. When she couldn't deal with us no more, when she needed some help, all these things. She was sending us to somebody with more wisdom than her. But we get distracted by all the shiny things around us. And we forget we was going somewhere to get something that was very important. We have to find ourselves, people, and get to where we was going. We got to get to grandma's house. We got to go get that big mama love. This is where we are right now. We're in the age of Aquarius, great cosmic mother. Earth is purifying herself. Everything is lined up for us to be the best versions of ourselves we can be. And that includes nurturing. Can't have a good relationship without nurturing, you know? And if you don't know how to nurture, how are you going to support and love the person that you're with? You know, give them the things that they need to feel safe, to feel validated. People say, oh, well, I don't need no validation. Everybody needs to shut up. Being silly now. Stop letting this world dictate to you something you know innately. I tell people all the time, don't nobody have to make, man, let me tell you something. Submissive women, every woman is submissive. Every woman. She naturally is when she feels in her place. She don't know how to be anything else but soft. The hardest women are soft. We forget we had to be hard because we had to be out here in the world. You can't be soft out here in the world. I was just talking about that, how I had to toughen up my skin just to be in this world. My natural position don't call for all that hardness. So I'm telling you, for those young people wanting these relationships and raising these babies, we got to remember a key component to raising a healthy, happy, well-rounded, well-adjusted person. It's nurturing. And that begins with nurturing ourselves, healing our nurture wounds. And you might need help. Some of us do it, go in, solitude and do it, but some of us need help. And that's why MaWu Lisa Temple is here. And other places like MaWu Lisa Temple are there to support you. There are enough people doing what it is we do for you to go somewhere and get some support. And many times you can't go to your mother and be like, why didn't you nurture me? That is not going to solve anything. If you're fortunate enough to have your mother, go hug her and be like, yo, I'm glad we made it. If you got your father, go and be like, yo, son, I'm glad to know you. It don't matter if you was there to raise me. I learned my lessons from that. But the fact that I can see you now, we don't appreciate what we have, y'all. We don't appreciate the opportunities presented to us. We talk about we want to know what's wrong with our lives. What's wrong with our lives is you won't take the time to remember where you were on your way to. Okay. So with that being said, I want you to join me next week in the Healing Chamber. We're going to do some more talking about, just all things nurturing and health. And, I have a couple of people I'd like to bring on to discuss some of these things that I talked about tonight. But again, I really want to talk about also nurturing the land, because, I made mention of the earthing and everything going on, being up here in farm country, and being a farm lover and land steward. I spend a lot of time out in nature, and I'm watching the things that are going on. And, we need to talk more about our relationship with food. I was going to save some of that for later in the season. However, right now with a lot of the food shortages and things going on, water issues and things like that, I think we need to talk a little bit about nurturing the earth and what we can do as our part as land stewards, and beneficiaries of the earth. So join me then. Again, please always, just know that I appreciate your questions, your comments, all of those things. Please feel free to DM us at MaWu Lisa Temple 1 or email us at mawulisatemple@gmail.com. We are always glad to receive you. And also don't forget that if there is a topic that you'd like to talk about or a comment that you would like to share or expound on a little bit further, and you want to come and be a guest, be a guest. I love talking to people, because I realize, I get real fiery when I'm by myself because, all the things just be going. But I would love to have you, and the Healing Chambers is open to any and everyone that needs us. Again, MaWu Lisa Temple was established to support and uplift mankind. So we are here. We are here. And we love being here for you. And we love sharing our experiences with you. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being in the Healing Chambers another week with us. Knowledge Born of Law. Thank you for your support in this platform of Do the Knowledge Radio. And I will see you guys next week at 7 p.m. Peace.
Belongs to those who have free minds, those who can see behind the veil of illusion, know the truth, and can stand on it.
My pro-black, really pro-black, anti-hip-hop dress code. That's no cap, no facts. My white cells assassinate any kind of virus, get chewed up, masticate. My immunity's indestructible. I'm a pillar of my community, no deductible. General Tucson leading the revolution. To black problems, we are the only fucking solution. No outsiders, no white saviors, we gatekeeping. I keep trying to wake them up cause they stay sleeping. Chooks is armed with ancestral wisdom, so I don't trust people that still trust the system. We gotta eat like Sebi, fight like Ali, think like Malcolm, migrate to Merca, Somali. I carry my own water, so I value every drop of it. Drowning at the bottom, so I swim up to the top.
If I say it, then I mean it. I'm never backing down. Only a few real ones left now. If it's truth, then I'ma stand on it. If it's justice, then I'ma stand on it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'll never take it back. And if you ever hear me say it, then it's facts. That's my word, and I'ma stand on it. What you heard, I'ma stand on it. Yeah. What happened to principles, character, fortitude? Healing through alchemy, magic is what I'm born to do. Time to purge the planet from human toxicity. People do any and everything for publicity. It's way out of control, destructive, they weak and careless. We either stand for what is right or else the people perish. Putting these devils in a panic, now we got them frantic. The righteousness of justice is poetic, Pac and Janet. You don't know lies from truth when you wearing blinders. Wisdom separates the strong people from the spineless. They tell me to kill them with kindness, be considerate, but everybody's capping out here. Nothing's legitimate. Nobody surrounded us everywhere, but the souls is missing. The enemy is always watching and the ops is listening. No wonder most of these people feeling defeated. The language of God is encoded and they can't read it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'm never backing down. Only a few real ones left now. If it's truth, then I'ma stand on it. If it's justice, then I'ma stand on it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'll never take it back. And if you ever hear me say it, then it's facts. That's my word, and I'ma stand on it. That's what you heard. I'ma stand on it. Rusty Chucks, Ty Phoenix, yeah.
And buying back the block, and let's open our own business so we'll have some place to shop. Start investing in ourselves, is what we do, cause they do not. So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Yeah, we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Every hustler that could hustle, start investing in your spot. Don't you see these vacant houses and you see these vacant lots? So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Yeah, we buying back the block. My brothers buying back the block. Sisters buying back the block. My sisters buying back the block. Don't you see these vacant houses and you see these vacant lots? So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Yeah, we buying back the block. My OGs buying back the block. Youngins buying back the block. My youngins buying back the block. Start investing in yourselves is what we do, cause they do not. So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. If we gon' get this cash and chop, this bullshit's got to stop. All this his beef, her beef, this and that, man, let's just get some guap. Dodging SWAT and got the digi, really, let's invest in stock. I suggest we cash some checks, it's really just a building block. See my circles talking cheese and bread and dough like pizza box. So let's get some cheese and bread and dough for our own pizza shop. And we never needin' your fast food when auntie making plates, cause that's fish and fries, you get 2 sides of drink and slice of cake. The mechanic shop, the barber shop, the hair and nail salon. On the corner store or grocery store, let's get some seasoned farm. Cause when summertime, when school let out, we started up a julep house. Then we passed it to the kids to show them what this bit is about. Used to grind the tubers out the Buick with the music clout. Now he with the wife and kids to show you what them Jews about. 10%, $100,000 is in stacks. So all you need is $10,000 to buy a house for 100 racks. Wait, all you need is $10,000 to buy a house for 100 racks. Yup, all you need is $10,000. Think of that with your income tax. Shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. And let's open our own business so we'll have some place to shop. Start investing in ourselves is what we do, cause they do not. So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Yeah, we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Every hustler that could hustle, start investing in your spot. Don't you see these vacant houses and you see these vacant lots? So we shutting down their businesses and buying back the block. Yeah, if you getting money, stop buying back the neighborhood. Buy up these houses, these empty lots. Stop buying buildings, opening businesses. Stop buying land, property. You know what I'm saying? If you want to multiply your choppy, I don't care how you getting your bread. Shout out to my peoples up at Be Healthy. You know what I mean? Why we ain't got no black grocery stores?
DJ Nani Nan.